So here is just a recap of our vacation to the U.S. Virgin Islands. We had so much fun, so we just meshed together all the photos and videos that we took. Come along with us and see everything that we got to see and learn. Flying with 2 toddlers was quite the experience. We had coloring books, and the TVs in the backs of the chairs from the Delta airplane helped out a whole lot. We did spend a lot of our time looking out the windows, playing with our books. Kanan played with his Wii, and then we took a really long nap. We made it to the Virgin Islands. Now we're just waiting on luggage and our taxi to take us to our resort. And we made it to the resort. Kanan was so happy to be off the airplane and finally able to see water. The next morning we woke up and Shane had went to get our rental car, and we decided that we would tour the island and see if we could kind of make a game plan of where we wanted to spend most of our time that day. Right away, this big red building caught our attention. It is Fort Christian, and it was built in 1672 and housed the Norwegian government all the way up until the sale of the island to the United States in 1917. It has a lot of history. It currently serves as a museum and holds most of the artifacts for when the island was not owned by the United States. For the first morning, we grabbed snacks and drinks and just drove all around up through the mountains and just really enjoyed the overlooks. We got to see the rainbow, and we took a little tour of St. Thomas to check out all the beaches. You'll see those here in a few seconds. So this is the backside of Margaritaville. This is a little beach that is kind of across the street from there. When we got there, it was very early in the morning and there was no one on the beach, so we got to enjoy it all to ourselves. The color of the water is absolutely breathtaking. Yeah. The resort that we stayed at was Lindbergh. It still had a little bit of damage from the hurricanes that hit back to back a few years ago, but overall it was pretty nice. We did spend most of our time over on Emerald Emerald Beach. It's a resort that is very close to ours, and it has its private beach. This was probably our favorite part of St. Thomas. We just really enjoyed playing there. It had tiki huts that you could sit under, a bar, and a restaurant. And you didn't really have to leave the resort. So if we ever go back, we probably definitely will stay at Emerald Bay. One of our favorite places that we ate at was Craven Crabs. The food was delicious. On this morning, we decided to go out to the yacht club and we watched some of the boats come in. We played around and did a little bit of shopping. A lot of the shops closed down due to COVID and they haven't opened back up yet. So there really isn't a whole lot of shopping, but we had fun walking around, just sightseeing and talking with some of the locals. There was a really cool little coffee shop called Badass Coffee, and you know we love donkeys, so it just kind of fit with us, and we stopped in there and had breakfast. Our next little stop was over in the French town. We went over there and just did a little bit of shopping. We needed to get some sun shirts so we didn't get sunburned, and we grabbed some souvenirs for our family. We finished our evening with a little swim over at the Emerald Beach Resort again. I told you, it's one of our favorites. Kanan and Eiley both really loved this sand toy set that we found. It was ice cream cones and ice cream scoopers, and it came with little sundae toppers. They played and played with it. They loved making ice creams. They even tried to pretend to sell a few to people on the beach, and it kept them busy while Dad did some snorkeling out there. For dinner this night, we tried to go out somewhere nice, but we had just overdid it with the kids and they fell asleep. We ended up ordering Domino's and calling it a night. The next morning, we woke up super early. We were on this ferry by like 7 a.m. I think we had to be in line around 6 something. I was a little worried because we were just bumper to bumper with these cars. Of course, the car in front of us was a huge dump truck. It was really scary, but we rode all the way. I mean, it wasn't terribly scary, but it was just different for me. So we rode all the way across the water in our rental car on the ferry to St. John. And can I tell you, it was worth the trip. This is us pulling into St. John. You can see the markets that they have set up. We visited those, and they were so cool. We got some really cool souvenirs, and we got to have some great little chats with some of the locals. This is just a little tour of the island. If you are animal lovers like we are, definitely go to St. John. We got to see peacocks. We had a wild donkey come up to our car. We seen deer when we went to Cinnamon Bay. There were ducks and goats and chickens, and I can't even think of what all there was, but it was so much fun. I recommend St. John if you're going to the Virgin Islands. Everything was so beautiful. The locals were so nice. We just really had a good time on this island. Since we were just on St. John for the day, we decided that we would beach hop, and I'm going to take you along on our journey. This first stop is Hawks Nest Beach. It was a really nice little beach. We basically had it all to ourselves since we were there so early. There was no one else there, and since COVID was going on, I don't think a lot of people are traveling right now. So I don't know how it typically is when things are busy, but take a look at how beautiful it is when things are not so busy and you have the time to just walk around and check everything out. A little further down the road, we seen a sign that said that there was a beautiful ruin with a lookover. This is called Peace Hill, and we trekked up this little trail, and look how beautiful the ruins and the lookover is. This ruin has some deep roots. Peace Hill was once a sugar mill plantation. It was one of only 5 plantations on the island that was powered with wind power. It's over 300 years old, and this sugar mill has weathered much more than Hurricane Irma and Maria that still has a lot of the island down. There once was a statue of Christ that stood up here on the hill as well. It was called the Christ of the Caribbean. Think like the Rio de Janeiro statue, just on a smaller scale. It was used as a navigational aid for passing ships until Hurricane Marilyn took it out in 1995. Now all that's left is a beautiful view, some part of the sugar mill, and a plaque that talks about it. The colonel who purchased this land donated it to the Virgin Island National Parks. He hoped that it would maintain the name Peace Hill because he was such an advocate for world peace, and he wanted this plantation to stand for world peace. Thank goodness my husband had spent so much time working in Japan because he was used to driving on the opposite side of the road. Me, on the other hand, I would squill every time a car passed us because I just could not get used to it. Our next stop was Cinnamon Bay. This was the beach that we were the most excited about. We had heard how beautiful it was, and we just absolutely couldn't wait to get here. I did read that in 1913, Cinnamon Bay was purchased by a Danish company that used the land for breeding and raising cattle. So when we got there and I looked around, I couldn't help but giggle thinking how much our cows would love being out here with all this water, and they're just always so fancy out in the fields anyways. I could just imagine them laying out on the sand and in the sun. I don't know. It was just funny. Cinnamon Bay also has a very large portion of ruins from the sugar mill plantations that was once there on the island. I would love to go back one day when my kids are older and able to actually hike through and take a look at all of it. There's just so much history there, and I would love to see it. All the ruins look so amazing, and the beach isn't bad either. We actually had a woman hit our rental car in the parking lot at Cinnamon Bay, so we were not able to stay there the first little go around. So we decided to take a drive and just let everything settle down, and we ran into this awesome donkey. We don't think that we were supposed to feed him after we got so excited from him walking over to the car, and he kind of demanded these cheese puffs we had in the car because someone hollered at us like, "Don't feed the donkey." So whoops, next time we'll know. Look at him. He was just so happy to find us and so happy we were willing to break the rules and give him those Cheetos. He definitely knew we didn't know. Out of all the exciting things we got to do on our trip and the beautiful sights that we got to see, this donkey just absolutely made my trip. I love donkeys, and he was so sweet. Oh, I just wanted to bring him home, but I don't think I could have convinced Delta that he was my service animal on the plane. We stopped for some lunch at the Cruise Bay Landing, and they also had ice cream and coffee, so it was the perfect little pit stop for us. We really enjoyed the fish tacos that they had there, and Kanan and Eiley swore that was the best ice cream they'd ever had. We had to get back onto the ferry around 6 p.m. that evening, and we all were pretty exhausted. We had had such a wonderful day. We are so glad we decided to take the trip over to St. John. Here's just a little view from our ferry ride on the way home, or the way back to St. Thomas, because it wasn't as crowded on the way back. These are just a few shots from our GoPro that we took while snorkeling at Cinnamon Bay. The next day, we woke up and we're just, kind of tired, wanting to relax, so I snapped some pictures of the beautiful flowers that were in the garden right outside of our little villa off our hotel. And we went back over to Emerald Resort and spent a lazy afternoon laying and playing on the beach.
Yes, I'll come back to you, then I'll ask what have we done.
Eiley would ask me for a snack, and then I would catch her trying to feed them to the chickens that were over in some of the brush on the hotel. We had a relaxing dinner at the greenhouse. A donut.
Coconut.
Oh yes, and Kanan found a coconut on the Emerald Bay Resort.
Yeah, and it was a baby one.
Yes, it was a baby coconut that fell out of the tree.
Yeah, fell out of the tree.
Yeah, but dinner was great at the greenhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. To try and keep the kids from getting in trouble, we let them buy their own little chickens that they could play with so they wouldn't be tempted to feed the ones at the resorts anymore. On our final morning there, before we went to get on the plane, we decided to have breakfast over in the Frenchtown again at a place called Bumpa's. And it was very good. It was just some down-home cooking, pancakes and waffles, but you could look out over the ocean there and watch some of the boats come in and out. We got to watch the Coast Guard boat, and that was pretty exciting.
Yes, I'll come back to you. No, I won't ask where you run under the sun.
One final thing that we did before leaving the island was going to the post office and mailing out some postcards to our friends and family. We also mailed one back to our house. So Kanan could see how long it took for mail to get from the island all the way to Missouri.
To be free, be away, big breath that you can't fake.
On our way back home, Kanan got to take a little pit stop in with the pilots and see what it was like to fly one of the big Boeing planes, which we thought was really cool because here in St. Louis is where a lot of the Boeing planes are made. And as you can see, we made it back home. The cows had to be fed and life got right back to normal.
Hold on the side.
The Easter Bunny even stopped by and left a bunch of goodies for all of the kids. And Kanan was super excited because he got a Mario game that he had been wanting.
And it's
So we got to have some really cool Easter treats and do some Easter egg hunting. What did you find in your Easter eggs, Kanan?
I found so much candy. I ate it all.
Oh, yummy. And Kanan got the helmet for his dirt bike.
Yeah,
It
and
finally
I got
came
training
in.
wheels.
And training wheels. And then we got to go pick up Jason Brody a few days later from their vacation. And our life finally got back to normal.